Good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing? Today's shiur is being sponsored by our great friend, Yehuda David, otherwise known as Judah. Happy birthday to my wife. Finally! Somebody. Nobody's wife has a birthday? What's going on? Happy birthday to my wife, but it's the big 5-0, and his wife happens to be my wife's first cousin. We wish her bracha and hatzlacha. We all do. So tremendous mazel tov. Rabbi Isai, very interesting email today. I'm not going to read the whole thing. It's huge. And I'm not going to say his name because it's another anonymous guy. Although you could probably figure it out from the email. But please, stop sending in these anonymous emails. We want to know who you are. We wanted to put a face to the email so we could get to know you. I'm a former fitness model who's currently been watching your full shiur every day for the last 4 months. I used to be very religious when I was turned off the derech by going to yeshiva. Again, it's all the yeshiva's fault, where I had a very bad social experience with my peers in school, skipping around here. One day I was doing a job in Williamsburg, next to Yochanan. I see Zan today. Baruch Hashem. We had enough with that was happening, and I started driving home crying. I passed by a shul where I davened Mincha and Meir for the first time in maybe 3 months, where I met a very nice Yid, maybe it was Yochanan, who knows, who sat me down and told me that Hashem always wants a connection with me. From then on, I realized that if I want to do tshuva or something that should last, I need to have some structure, some commitment. That's when I started to listen to your full shiur. I found out about it when I signed up for the 8-minute daf at the Daf Yomi in Yerushalayim. I've been doing the daf, watching his shiurs, and easily digestible way to keep me connected to Judaism. Thank you for producing a great content despite, I'm sure, the criticism you're getting to do the. It's easy to digest, great for enticing people into taking part in the great regular Torah study. Not as scary as looking at your full 45-minute daf shiur. Keep doing what you're doing. This is a young kid talking to me over here. Keep doing what you're doing. When you get criticism, that's oftentimes one indicator that you're on your way to changing the world. And at first, nobody likes change. Once again, thank you so much, and please keep it up. And then he goes on to say that he has over 500,000, even for like Facebook. That's a ton. I don't know. Called.
Say it again. 500,000 what?
He has 500,000 followers on Facebook. Called Alpha Aesthetics. But I currently upload kosher, fitness, and self-improvement content. So B'kitzur, he wants to donate his time to get us out there on Facebook and TikTok and LinkedIn and Twitter and YouTube. And Kitzur, he says nobody's doing anything on these kind of platforms. It's mamish a shame. There's a billion people out there.
Eli, you should do a TikTok video.
What is?
Video?
Yeah, I'm not a. It doesn't sound very good. It doesn't sound kosher to me. PPS. I want to talk about this PPS thing he's saying here. I am currently a few months behind where the rest of the world is in daf cycle. Hopefully after Eruvin I will skip ahead and jump to wherever the world is at this point. You know, there's a bad thing to tell me. This means that I most likely will not see if you read my message on live share for quite a while. All the best, SK. Not USK. There's another SK here from Borough Park. Not him. That's somebody I know also. He also wrote me an email. We'll read his one day as well. So I just want to address this for a second, and that is that Rabbi says some people get on the train at a different stop. So it doesn't mean that we have to make the siyum all at one time. So if you just started Eruvin, if your name is Ian Meltzer from South Africa, you just started Eruvin, don't feel bad. You'll make your siyum at Eruvin. It's fine. And I see Michael Cohen. Shalom Aleichem, Michael Cohen. Now I could say a good shiur. Haven't seen you in a month, 2 months. Where have you been, my friend? All right, so you hear what I'm saying? You started Eruvin, you finished at Eruvin. If you want to make it up, whatever, but don't jump off the bed. He's saying he's not going to see us for months. He has to catch up on brachas and Shabbos. Hashem Yirachim, you know what that means? We'll never see this guy again, chas v'shalom. That's what the Yetzer Hara does. Catch up to... No. You started Eruvin, you just continue with everybody else. If you have extra time, you throw in a daf here, daf there. So you won't make a siyum with everybody in Met Stadium. You'll make your own siyum. It'll be more special because during the siyum when everybody makes a siyum, you'll make your own siyum in Eruvin. You'll invite the whole world then. All right, we're holding. What happened here? Sorry. We're holding Daf Yomi Beis. Six lines from the bottom. Amud Beis. So we continue Agadta. Let me tell you what's going on here. We're going to do Amud of Agadta, and then we're going to jump right back into the sugya of Eruvin. We're going to come out of it and go back into Agadta for another day and a half afterwards. We're mixing it up a little bit here. Another Rabbi Yirmiyah ben Elazar called a house that has Torah learned in it at night. And Rashi says, literally, the sound of the Torah goes very distant at night. Shuv einoi nechrav. The house won't be destroyed. I want to say, I haven't seen this, maybe it means in our day, there won't be an issue of chinuch hayeladim. Kids won't go off the Torah B'Srael, they won't go off the derech maybe, if there's Torah at night. Shenemar v'li omar loika oisoi noisen zmiras b'layla. Zmiras b'layla, learning Torah at night, you're not going to ask, where's Hashem? Not going to be a problem. That's what it's talking about. Where's Hashem is Torah B'Srael. Could be. But anyway, there's a tremendous inyan to learn Torah at night, in the Shulchan Aruch, in the Rambam, you learn Torah at night. V'gisi b'yoyim v'layla. Once the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed, you don't have to use the 4-letter, the Yud-Kei Vav-Kei name of Hashem, you do with 2. Shenemar. Koil HaNeshama, until the Churban Abayis, we had the Kohanim of the Beis Hamikdash, they used Shem Hashem. Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, it's 4 letters. Afterwards it says, Kol HaNeshama Tahalil Ka, Hallelujah. So Ka is 2 letters. Kol HaNeshama referring to every person, they'll use the 2. Taisa says over here, interesting shot from the Rabbeinu Chananel, the Kari Bei Haneshama Bedogish. In other words, it's a play on words. Instead of Haneshama, when there is destruction in the world, in other words, after the Churban, we are going to use the Yud K instead of Yud K Vav K. If Babel is cursed, in other words, Chutz La'aretz is cursed, so then its neighbors are cursed. Niskal Shoimron is Baruch Shechina. But if Eretz Yisrael is cursed, then the neighbors get a bracha. That what? Niskal Bavel, Niskal Shechina Dechsiv, V'samtir L'moirash Kipoid V'agmei Moin. We had this pasuk discussed it once, that Bavel is going to be desolate. There's going to be crazy wild animals over there. So if there are wild animals in Bavel, Oile Rasha, Oile Shechina, says Rashi, the animals will start invading nearby countries. Niskal Shoimroin is Baruch Shechina. But if Eretz Yisrael is cursed and is Baruch Shechina, D'chsiv v'samti Shoimroin le'i hasode daf Yutes Amud Aleph lematoi karem. In other words, after there was a churban in Eretz Yisrael and they come back, so the neighbors receive a bracha because of Eretz Yisrael. That is the shevach, says Rashi, that Eretz Yisrael gets. When people see, if we're getting a bracha because of Eretz Yisrael, you see that Eretz Yisrael is so important. Look, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is nothing like human beings. If you're a king, a guy, they bring him out to the gallows, has nothing to lose, he's going to be cursing out the king. First of all, he's going to complain about what they're giving him. I don't deserve to die, he's going to say. Plus, he's going to curse the king out. You can't do anything to him. What are you going to do? You're going to kill him. He's dying anyways. So what do? They shove a piece of wood in his mouth. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is different. If he has to be put to death because he was over and very shoysek, he's quiet. He's going to be completely quiet. Not only is he going to be quiet, he'll give praise to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tehilim. If a person dies by Yisurim and he takes it upon himself, like all Yisurim in this world, you take the Yisurim ba'ahava, so it's like you're makriv a carbon. Shenemar l'chol yishulam neder. Hanidar Reb Shimon Levi, Maidach Siv, Oivre be'emek habacha. So the Gemara now is going to translate every one of these words. Oivre be'emek habacha. Guys walking by the valley of Bacha. Bacha is just a bunch of trees. Mayon Yishisu. So it has like a well, a spring, Yishisu. Gam bracha isyata moira. So the rain will make it a bracha. So the Gemara says, Oivrei elu b'nei adam shoivim ma'al tzoni shal HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Oivrei is not just a person that walks by. It's a person that disregards HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Emek, the depth, shemamikim lem Gehenna. So there's different floors in Gehenna. The lower you go, the hotter it is, the closer to the fire, the worse off you are. So they make it deeper for you. Send you down an elevator a few floors. Ha-bacha, so bacha is a tree. The Gemara darshans it like crying, like with a hay. Sheboichin u'meridin demois k'mayim shel shisin. Shisin is in the Beis Hamikdash. We had this. We learned about this extensively in Kachim. But if you go up the ramp, the Mizbeach, so right over here there are two holes, and they put the wine, the libations into the holes, and the holes, it's like a drain on the Mizbeach. I don't know if you could see. You're certainly not going to be able to see the two holes, but they're right here on this side of the Mizbeach. That didn't help much. It says the Gemara, Gam brochis yatem moira shematzdikim aleim hadin v'armim lefanav. Listen to this. Guy in Russia did a lot of averis, but when he sees the truth after his death, he's matzdik the din. He says, "I deserve this." V'armim lefanav. He says in front of Rebbeinu Shalom, Rebbeinu Shalom, Yofa Danta, you did the right thing. I got the right judgment. Yofa Zakisa, Yofa Chiyafta. Where I deserved good, I got good. Where I deserved bad, I got bad. V'yofa tikanta Gehenim l'Rishaim. The Rishaim deserve Gehenim. Gan Eden l'Tzadikim. Says the Gemara Eini. How could that be that they say such a thing? V'amar Reb Shimon ben Lakish, Rish Lakish says, Rishaim afilu al pizul shegehenim meinim chazim b'tshuva. Listen to this crazy idea. A guy is dead. Dead. He sees the truth. There's nothing but truth. There's only emes up there. But he's so involved in his gashmius and his taivas that when they show him the door to Gehenna and they show him the fire, he still doesn't take it back. He doesn't regret anything. What's hapoishim be? So Gemara darshans the word hapoishim, that they're continuously doing pshia, they're continuously doing avera, they're dead, and they're still being poisheya. How's that possible? So it should say shepashu be, that they used to do bad when they were alive, but hapoishim be poisheya after you're dead. The point is that in their mind, in their neshama's brain, they're thinking, oh, I don't care, I'm not doing tshuva. Says Gemara, so if they don't do tshuva, so why are you telling me that everybody stands up there and says Hashem's right and everything does is great and we deserve this? It just says over there they don't do tshuva. So which one is it? You're talking about Goyim and Yidden. Jews, take it back, not non-Jews. You have to explain it, because otherwise the contradiction between Rish Lakish himself. So we have to understand this as well. The Gemara says that there's no Gehenim for even the sinners of Klal Yisrael. So it doesn't mean literally there's zero Gehenim. It just means that the Gehenim is not gonna rule over them. It won't be a very long time. They might get a little singed in there. They might go in for a few minutes, but not forever. And a kavachomer from Mizbeach Hazav, from Mizbeach Hazav. Oh, well, you know what? Once I have this, I might as well show you on this. Here's the Mizbeach Hazav. If we're talking about the Mizbeach, very good. We're talking about the regular Mizbeach right over here, the giant one. So, wrong way. The Mizbeach Hazav is in the Heichal. We spoke about him. That's where you do the Ketores. It's a tiny guy. It's not even the height of a person. So the Mizbeach Hazav, think about it. There's a very thin layer of gold on it. Omad Kama Shanim is there for hundreds of years and nothing happened to the gold. The fire of the Ketores didn't destroy it. Poishi Yisrael, the sinners of Klal Yisrael, Shemalei mitzvahs karima, and every Jew has mitzvahs, full of mitzvahs, like a pomegranate, shenemar. Kepel charim rakoseich, like a pomegranate is rakoseich, v'omer shem shlakish, atik rakoseich el rakoseich. The empty people, those leidegeiers, they say in Yiddish, right? Leidegeier means emptiness. The empty guys that have nothing in their life, yet we call them Milei mitzvahs karim. Every single one of us gave tzedakah and did this and that and help. So there's many mitzvahs that we have. So I feel Milei mitzvahs karim. Allah has kama v'kama. So certainly, a Poishi Yisrael, the Gehenim shouldn't be shoyler. If a Mizbeach, that all it has is a little bit of gold, the gold is able to protect it. So certainly, a Jew that has all the mitzvahs, that's a much more chashav a thing than gold, certainly the mitzvah should protect him. There's small little taisis on top, very interesting. I thought it was a cool thing to know. Teima, the Masechtas Chagiga, it says, the top taisis. Ovid kavachayim is salamandra. Salamandra is an animal that's created from fire, and its blood is fireproof. So the Gemara over there makes a kavachayim, tamid chacham ein ur sheledes behem kavachayim. So what's taisis kasha? What does Taisus want? Okay, so in Chagiga, they do the same idea. Taisus is asking, it seems like from over there, that only Talmud Chacham, who learned Torah his whole life, did all, so he's protected from Gehenim, a Kavachaymer from the salamander. But a Paishi Yisrael should be protected from Gehenim. What's going on here? Says Taisus, Yishleim, the Paishi Yisrael, Pnei Mashchirim, Be'elu Tamid Chachamim, Klal Klal Loi. Says Taisus, what the Gemara over there wants to say is that they're so protected from Gehenim that nothing happens to Talmud Chacham. Whereas a Paishi Yisrael, he's protected from Gehenim not before he gets singed nicely. In other words, so this guy is running around Gan Eden, learning Torah with everybody, but everybody looks at him and he has a black face, and they understand right away that he did a little stint in Gehenim. He was there maybe for 10 minutes, but 10 minutes is enough to give him a nice tan, a nice singe from the fire. Well, he just went through a whole pasuk explaining each part of the pasuk that they go in there. They say what do we learn over here? What's they over the mamik the Gehenim. It says in the pasuk they get a deep Gehenim. So what are you telling me? They don't have Gehenim? Says the Gemara. Yes, they get a din that they deserve Gehenim, so they go into Gehenim. Avram Avinu goes out and chaps him out of there. Doesn't say anything about payas. That's reserved for specific rabbanim. I don't know what, but Avram Avinu grabs you out of Gehenim. There's one exception. A Jew that had relations with a Goya, Avram Avinu doesn't say him. Why? The Mashchar Lasoi, something happens to his bris milah, it gets covered, his arla gets covered, and Avram Avinu cannot recognize that he had a bris milah. He cannot recognize it. And if he can't recognize him, he can't pull him out again. So being Bayal a Goya is a bad thing. Maskiv Rav Kahana, saying there's worse things. Eishesish is worse. There's other things that you can think of that are much worse in terms of arayas. Yet Goya has a special thing that he's not going to recognize. He's not going to be able to pull you out of Gehenim. Maskiv Rav Kahana Hashada Armas HaPoishim the Pashiv Ozli Elamato. So you want to tell me the whole proof is from the word Poishim. That after their death, they continue to do pshia. So the word Poisha means it's continuous. So if so, because Baruch Hu took us out of Mitzrayim, and he continues to take us out every day from Mitzrayim. So if you want to give a drasha, yeah, he took us out back then, we still feel it today. But that's not the Pashup Pshat. Pashup Pshat is he continuously takes us out of Mitzrayim. But that's the way to talk in Lashon Kodesh. You say, he's taking us out of Mitzrayim, meaning it happened thousands of years ago, but we say he's taking us out. So Poishim, he continues to do pshia with us. He continues to be pshia, not like a person continues to do pshia, even though he's dead. The mazik the asik va'apik. So it means it happened way in the past, even though it sounds like it's in the future. So too, Poishim, says the Gemara, doesn't necessarily mean that after they're dead they continue to deny HaKadosh Baruch Hu, they're not scared of Gehenim. It just means in the past they were like that. Ben Elazar, another one. That's very typical of the Gemara. Once you mention a Tana and a Meira, you just keep on going with whatever sayings they had to say. There are three entrances to Gehenim. Echad b'midbar, one is in the desert, v'echad b'yam, and one in the ocean. V'echad b'Yerushalayim. B'midbar d'chsiv. By Koirach it says, Vayirduhem v'chol shelahem chayim sha'oil. As we're going to see soon, sha'oil is a name for Gehenim. B'yam d'chsiv mi betin sha'oil. By Yoina shivati shamata koili. Again, from the stomach of sha'oil. Where was Yoina? In a fish, in the ocean. So you see Gehenim is in the ocean. Yerushalayim d'chsiv num Hashem. Asher urloi b'tziyam b'taner, it's a nice oven b'Yerushalayim. V'taner Rav Shmuel asher urloi b'tziyam zoi Gehenim. It's referring to Gehenim. V'taner Yerushalayim zu pischa shegehenim. So the entrance to Gehenim is in Yerushalayim somewhere. V'suleka v'omar Reb Morion, Omar Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi. V'arin lo Taner Rabba bar Morion b'devei Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. Shteit himrois tomorrow ish begei ben Hinoim. There are two palm trees in the valley of Hinoim. Hinoim. So, Begay Hinoim, Ben Hinoim, in the valley of Hinoim. Smoke comes out from between the two trees. Interesting. In Mesechtes Sukkah, it says in the Mishnah that Tzine Har Barzel, the lulav that comes from Har Barzel is kosher. It's a little different than a regular lulav. It's referring to this tree that's by the entrance to Gehenim. So what's the question? So you see that there's actually four entrances. You have Yerushalayim, Midbar Yam, and now you have the two trees. So the Gemara says, okay, maybe those two trees are in Yerushalayim. It's not a kasha. Amar Yeshua ben Levi. Shiva Shem is Gehenim. Gehenim has 7 names. Ve'eloed, Sha'oil, down real low, Va'avdoin, like a loss. Uber Shachas, a well of destruction. Ubar Shoin, Vitit Hayoven, this is like quicksand. Vitzal Moves, the shadow of death. Ve'eretz Hatachtis, the low, the land that lays really low. Sho'oil D'chsiv, Mi Betin Shal Shivati Shomati Koili, that we had already in Yoina. Avadoin D'chsiv, Hayisupar Ba'kever Chazdecho Emunoscho Ba'avadoin. So, Gehenim is called Avad. Ber Shachas D'chsiv Ki lo yisaziv nafshi l'shoil Ki lo yisitin chasidcho lirois shachas. Okay? We're not going to allow the chasid to see Gehenim, shachas. Ubar shoil v'titayov. Over here it's a cement that it's just quicksand. Hayovet. V'tzal moves. D'chsiv yoshvei choshech v'tzal moves. Where's the tachtis? No pasuk. Gemaruhu. This we have from tradition. It's called Eretz Hatachtis. V'suleko, there's only 7. What, you forgot the main one? V'oike Gehenim. What about Mr. Gehenim that everybody uses? Says the Gemara, Gehenim is not in a pasuk. It's not what it's called. The reason why it's called Gehenim, Gay, it's deep like the valley of Hinnom, like we had before, the valley of Hinnom. Shakol Yorid Lo. Why do people go to Gehenim? Al Iske Hinnom. Says Rashi, Hinnom is Arayas. Most people go to Gehenim because of Arayas. V'ikeh Tafta. What about, there's a word called Tafta which refers to Gehenim. D'chsiv ki arch medmol Tafta. Tafta. Tafta is a lashon of giving in, being seduced by the Yetzer. If you're seduced by the Yetzer, you fall into Gehenim. Gan Eden over Shlakish in Eretz Yisrael. If Gan Eden is in Eretz Yisrael, I know where it is. It's in Bet Sha'an, Pischoy. The entrance is in Bet Sha'an. In Aravia, if you think Gan Eden is in one of the Arab nations, Beis Ger Pischoy. Vim Beina Naharesu, and if it's between the rivers, Damaskin Pischoy, so its opening is by Damaskin. Bebavel, if it's in Bavel, Bebavel says the Gemara, Abai Mishtabach Beperi de Mabri Yemina. So this is interesting. How does this fit in here? L'chayra, Abai is saying that I think that the entrance, I think this is what he means, that the entrance of Gan Eden is the Ma'abri Yemina on the right side, the north side of the Euphrates. Why? Because it has such good fruit there. Must be that that's the entrance to Gan Eden. Rava Mishtabach Beperi de Arpanya. And Rava says, no, the entrance is by Arpanya. Ubeneim. Oh, so Rabbi Isai, here we go. Going back into Eruvin. So, it was great when it lasted, it's coming back though. Ubeneim kim lo yishtei b'vakos. So, we were talking about Pasi Birois, and the machlokes between Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Yehuda is, what's the distance between the dyumdin? According to Rameir, it's 10 amos, which equals 2 groups of 3 cows. And here's a picture of what Rabbi Yehuda holds, 2 groups of 4 cows. But they're 2 groups. Says the Gemara. Now, in the Mishnah it says, Kshurais, they are tied. They're bound together. And what's the Lashon? V'lai mutarais. And they're not untied. Ask the Gemara Davi's question, isn't that a double Lashon? Pshita, kivin the Tana ledik shuras havu, since I know that they're tied, and I didn't have a mutarais. It's literally a double Lashon. Obviously, they're not untied. Mao the same kshuras keng kshuras. Maybe I didn't mean literally, you need to tie them. Like they're tied. Avamamish loy, komashmalon veloy mutarais. In other words, they need to be tight together. They can't just be loose cows, because loose cows will add up to a lot more than 10 amas. You got to get them in together, put their necks together in that whatever that device. One group of cows is coming out and one is coming in, which tells us that now we're loosening it up a little bit. It's not exactly tight throughout; it's tight, but then we give them a little space so that they could come out. So this is called soichakois. These are ames that are not 100% tight, like otzev. Just a little bit of revach. Tana rivka nechneses, rivka yoitzes. It's coming to exclude that it's not referring to every cow. One is going in and one is going out. One is going in, one is going out. That would be a lot of space. We're talking about 2 groups. One group is coming in, one group is coming out. So it tightens up a lot more than if you said each one is going, right? Because you need room. If they're coming in and out, they're not walking together, you need a lot of room. But you need a lot less room if there are pairs, 3, 3, 4, 4. Torah Rabbana. How much does it mean that when we said in the Mishnah, you can't put the dyumdin that close to the well where it is less than Rosh Veruba. You have to have the majority of the cow and it said, so that you don't by mistake carry into Rosh Hashanah. How much is that? Doesn't say in the Mishnah, but I'm telling you it's 2 amas as the Braisa. The Kama of Yeshapara. When you tell me you have to have 2 groups of 3 cows, 6 cows, what's the width? Amma ushnei shlishei amma. For me, Panovich math, it makes more sense for me. I don't know, you can all do it in your own way. Maybe there's easier ways. This is what I was doing to myself today. If you do 1 amma and 2/3 times 2 is 3 amma and 1/3. So that's a lot easier for me to handle. 2 cows are 3 and 1/3. So therefore, 6 cows is 3 times 3 and 1/3, which equals exactly 10. 3 times 3 and 1/3 is 10. Rather than doing 6 times 1 and 2/3. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, and if you do 8 cows, so now you have to add on 1 more 2 and 1/3, which equals, 3 and 1/3, which equals 13 and 1/3. So in other words, according to Meir, this is Panovich math, forget it. According to Meir, 10 amos. According to Rabbi Yehuda, the distance between dyumdin can be 13 and 1/3 amos. And now we are turning to Daf Yomi Beis, sponsored by Asher, Lili Nishmas Rozebas Ben Yamin, and by Dr. Listhouse, Lili Nishmas Mordechai Yosef Ben Aaron Listhouse. And Asher tells everybody, make it a great day. Zog Gemara, Shenke Eser. So it's almost 10. The Gemara doesn't like this. What do you mean almost 10? It's exactly 10. If you do Panovich math, it'll come out to exactly 10. It's like 13, 14. We know exactly what it is. It's 13 and 1/3. So why does the Gemara say 13 and 14? Says Gemara, it's exactly 10. Because in Rabbi Yehuda it says 13, it's not 13, it's 13 and 1/3. So you need to be consistent. You're trying to memorize these Mishnayos Baal Peh. You didn't have a Gemara in those days, everything's Baal Peh. So everything has to be consistent. The language, you can't jump from language. So Ke'eser, kishloish esrei. It flows nicer. But wait a minute, it's not 13. It's 13 and a third. It says 14. But it's not 14. Okay, Davi's answer. There's no real good way for the mission to say 13 and a third. Okay, that's way too confusing. So it says 13 and 14. You get the idea. It means somewhere between 13 and 14, which means 13 and a third. Okay, got a picture here from Kol HaLashon. I like these pictures. I don't know if they come out nice in YouTube and whatever, but here's the picture. I just added the blue line. So if the actual well is 8 by 8, and a cow takes up 2 amas, we just said a cow, Rosh Virub is 2 amas. So you need to add, right over here, you need to add 2 amas for the cow to fit in. 2 amas on this side, and 2 amas on this side. A total of 12 amas. That's why I put 12 amas here. 12 amas, but you have to take off 2 amas because the dyumdim, each dyumad is an amma. So 12 minus 2, you're left with a 10 amma gap. If there's a 10 amma gap, says the Gemara, there's no machlokes at all. You don't have to insert anything in this gap. Right? Because yesterday we were saying that you have to put a flat piece right over here. You don't have to do anything because it's only 10 amas. 10 amas is good anywhere. Even forget about a bar in the middle of Rosh Hashanah. But even in your backyard, in any Rishos, 10 amma gap we always say is okay. It's kosher 10 amma gap. More than 10 amma is a problem. Bebar shtem the kula. You know what? I see Dr. Epstein. I forgot what's Dr. Epstein's. What's Rita's name? We'll do Lilu Lishmas because yesterday was the end of her shloshim. Avi, send me her. Reza Gittel. Bas Zev. Her neshama should have an aliyah. We miss her very dearly, and it's good to have you back, Doctor, with your nice, clean-shaven face. All right. Now, if the bar itself, forget about everything, the bar is 12, so you have to add 4 amas, right? Yeah. The kuli alma loy pligi the binim pshutim. So when you're 14 amas, no, 16 amas, sorry, 16 amas. Where are we? Bebar shtem. You have to add 2 amas on each side for the cow to fit. So it's 12 plus 4 equals 16. What's your gap? 14. If you have a 16 total, if this blue line is 16, mine is too wide. Even according to review, this is too wide. Why? Because review says you're allowed to go up to 13 and a third. 14 is too wide. So you have to make some sort of fix. You have to put another piece of wood in the center. You know what? Hold on a second. Let me see if I can grab that picture from yesterday. Good thing I didn't put it away. Here we go. This is a pashut. This guy right over here. You have to make some correction. It's not good enough to have a dyumad here and a dyumad here. You have to make a correction right over here, a flat piece. It's not an L shape, but it's a correction. So what is machlokes? Shmoina equals 10 for us, right? Mishmoina at shtem 12 to 14. Sorry. 12 to, no. At shtem esrei. In other words, anywhere from 10, when you have 10 opening, until 13 and a third. That's where the machlokes is. Rameir says you have to fix it. It's too much. It's 13 and a third. So what's the Reb Papa adding with this whole thing? Tanina. It says in the Mishnah that you have these cows. So what exactly did he add to us? Well, we didn't know how wide a cow is. Brisa Lishmila, he never heard of the Brisa, the width of a cow. He doesn't know that a cow equals 1 2/3, which equals 10 amas according to Reb Meir and 13 and a third according to Reb Yehuda. All I want to say is that the halakha is like the Brisa, that we should know the proper width. Says the Gemara, Arich, Yoiser, Betzel, Chitzas, Chotzer, Shiyavsha, Simen. So, the Gemara is going to give us now 6 questions that Abaya asked Rabbah. Just to give you a little of background there, as we know, Abaya was a Yasam. Asher b'cha Yerucham Yasam. He grew up in Rabbah's house. Rabbah was not his father, but Rabbah was his Rebbe. Obviously, he was in his house. He taught him all the years, but he was actually his Rebbe. Right? All those Gemaras. Amrli aim. L'chayra, it's Rabbah's wife. I don't know for a fact, but it seems like it was Rabbah's wife, unless they hired like some sort of caretaker, but it seems like she was a very smart woman. She keeps on saying stuff. So probably she's probably Rabbah's wife. Anyway, so Abaya asks his stepfather, Rabbah, so a bunch of questions, a series of questions here. What happened here? How come I don't have it now? Not good. Okay, maybe I didn't print it. So, if the diyumin is supposed to be 1 amma wide, an amma by an amma, instead of doing an amma by an amma, he went ahead and he extended it, let's say, 2 ammas by 2 ammas. Is that okay? Instead of making the correction, instead of putting this guy to correct it, he took this guy and attached it to the diyumid. Is that okay? Now you have a wider diyumid. What do you gain? You gain that you don't have the gap. You don't have a puzzle gap. You don't have a gap that's 13 and a third, more than 13 and a third. But on the other hand, it's not so noticeable. Says the Gemara, L'Remeir Mahu. Omerlei Tenisu, what's the problem? Rabbah tells Abaya, this is exactly what we learned. It says, Ubavad Shiyarbe Bepasin. You should make a lot of pasin, a lot of simple pieces of wood. By lav, the march b'diyumdim. Doesn't it mean in the Mishnah that you extend pasim? You should extend the diyumid. Instead of it being 1 amma long, make it 2 amma. Loi the mapish va'ovid pshutim. Mapish means you're adding new ones. Yehochi says Rabba hayu bavat sheyarbe bepasin, or it's the Gemara is saying instead of Rabba bavat sheyarbe bepasin, why say bepasin achiyarbe bepasin mibarle? Bepasin, the Gemara understands, or Rabba understood, means in the past, in what you have already. You have a diyumad, you're going to add in the past. Bepasin, be means inside of it. Inside this guy, you're going to extend it. Otherwise, take off the bays and say yar bepasin. Add pieces of wood right over here. Bepasin means you could also add it in the diyumid itself. Says, well, you're right. Okay, great. Tani achiyar bepasin. You want to start being medayik with the bays? Okay, drop the bays. That's your whole problem. That says bays. No. Igidamri. Some people learned that what happened was different. Rabbi told Abaya, look, it says Mefurish in the Mishnah, you have to add bipasin. My love, the mapish va'avid pshutim, loy the marbid yumdin. Doesn't it mean that he added just simple pieces of wood? No, it means that he added on the diyumid itself. Since it says bi with the bays, that's a good raya. A second question. They're all to Rabbah. If there's a larger gap than 13 and a third, according to Rabbi Yehuda, by the way, I have a question for everybody. It's a riddle. Where did we learn in this Masechta that Rabbi Yehuda says you could have a gap that's larger than 13 and a third? Rabbi Yehuda says Mefurish, you're allowed to have a certain case, a gap that's more than 13 and a third. Anybody remember? It's in this Masechta. It's only 18 daf, the whole Masechta. I'll remind you and then you're going to say, oh yeah, here. I have a picture of it. This is Rabbi Yehuda, that if you have 2 houses on both sides of Rosh Hashanah, all you have to do is put a Kari Mekan. How wide is Rosh Hashanah? 16 amma. 16 amma is more than a 13 amma. Look at the gap over here. Massive gap. The Rashba, I think, brings this up, and he says that the difference is because there are 2 walls of the house, so that's very different than by us. Fine. But by us, there's only Dyumdin, there's no proper real walls. That's why the gap is limited to 13 and a third. Says the Gemara. So, you have more than 13 and a third in a gap. What should you do? Review them out. Pshutin Oved or the human Marich. What's the question? Explains Rashi. Do I put a piece of simple wood right over here, like this picture? One piece of wood over here in the middle. But the problem over here with this piece of wood is that you could say, Aver Mikan, Aver Mikan, will destroy this piece of wood. Because how big is this piece of wood? Amma. Look at the gap over here. You're talking about, 7 amas on both sides. They're going to eat it up. Or, so maybe you should just take that piece of wood, instead of putting it in the center, put it on your dyumid. I learned in the Mishnah, how close is everything? How close can you get to the well? Two amas away from the well, you could put the dyumid, and how far away? Afilu kura kuraim. So this is what we had all sugya, so we could fly through it. So machlokes in the Mishnah, how big could a pasibirois be? Even a kur kuraim. Review the oimer base saim mutar. Now a kur, we said, is 30 saw. Kuraim 60 saw. Kitzer, Review says no. It's limited to 2 saw, which is 50 amma by 100 amma. Base saim osur. And they told him, well, if you have a barn on your field to fertilize the field, this, muktzah, your backyard, all these things that are, they're for residents. Yes, you're right, your cows are sleeping there, but Rashi says, the shepherds also sleep there. It's for human beings. Don't you agree? And a well should also be for human beings. It's for residency. It should be chameshes kurim, 100, afilu basasar kurim. 300 times what you're saying. No, you can't. Why? Because we're talking about pasi birois, and over there, when you make a fence for your barn, that is not pasim. That's a real mechitza, and you can't confuse the two. Don't bring me a raya. Then you do a whole real mechitza with strings and not strings, whatever, but it's different than passive birois. Says the Gemara, but if you're extending the dyumdin, you're making them very big. So let's say, think about it. Let's say you have 100 amma wall. It's 2 saw according to Rabbi Yehuda. It's 50 by 100, 200 feet long. The only gap you could have is 13 and a third. So that means you have 86 feet, let's say, of wall, and 13 and a third gap. That's the only gap you're allowed to have, one gap. So you have a tremendous wall. So why would he call that passive? That's a mechitza. That's a legit mechitza. 86 feet and a tiny little gap of 13, that's a mechitza. Why is he saying that it's passive? Says, no, not a good raya. There's a big difference. You admit to me that the gap is 13 and a third. Oh, that's already another halacha. All through the Masechta we said, the most you can have in a gap is 10. So why all of a sudden over here could you have 13 and a third? Because the special dispensation that we made for Pasi Birois, because there's a well in the middle of Rosh Hashanah, we need to feed our animals. I don't care how big your wall is, 86 amma. The point is they have a gap of 13.3. That's not a mechitza. That's already a halach of Pasi Birois. It's a special kula of Pasi Birois. That's what he was trying to say. Another question. So back in the day, Shmuel Elwat gave me the lashon. It's the rise to run. I think that's what he said. The rise to run. So if you have 10 tefachim high, but the rise, it got to 10 tefachim over a 4 amma length. It wasn't up to here, but it took it only 4 ammas to get there. Now what do I want to do? I just made a black mark here to show I'm trying to carve out of this mound a theoretical L-shaped bracket. An imaginary L-shaped bracket. It's all in my imagination. Can I do that? It has the material over there. If I just carve, I'll get an L-shaped bracket. Could I do that? Could I make a dyumid out of it? We learned this. If there is a square stone, one of the yumdim is square, so what do? Royin, I pretend. If I chop it out and I show over here with a red, I made it a red. If I could take out the red, what am I left with? An L shape. So great. If the L shape is 1 by 1 amma, we're good. In other words, what does the Tanna Kama say? If it was a circle, you can't do that. Only if it's a square, I take out I chop out the center and I make an L-shaped bracket out of it. Says the Gemara, but if it's round, I could also do it. You can do it also for a round. Says the Gemara, Michael Mifligi, Mar Sovar Chad Royan Amrinon Trey Royan Lamrinon. One man says I could only do one imaginary cut, so I cut out the center of a square and I make it an L-shaped bracket. So I made a nice picture here. Judah came to visit me last night to tell me about his wife's birthday. Everybody happy birthday to his wife. But if you look, I just took their well and I enlarged what I did over here. You see the blue and you see the red? Those are two chaykikim. That you can't do according to one man Omer. Because in order to take a circle and make it an L-shaped bracket, first I have to chop off the blue and then I have to chop off the red. That's a double chaykikin. Where a square, you only have to do one chaykikin. No, that's a circle, sorry. Square. Square, I just take out the red part and I'm done. I have an L-shaped bracket. All right, Rabbi Isai, tomorrow night, Shiur is at 9:15. Sunday, we're going to try to start Shiur a little bit earlier, maybe like 3 minutes earlier than usual, instead of 7:15, 7:12, so you get through the emails a little quicker, have a little bit more time for the Torah portion. We don't have to rush through Amud Beis as usual. So if you don't like emails, just join us at 7:15 and everything will be good. Have a wonderful, wonderful Shabbos. Shir Hamalois. נשמע בקלילים זמן שפז גדול חמם ונשמע יעדני מיאמו שמחה סליחה למען תברי כסתני כבסה נפשי נדברי חוקתי נפשי לעדינו משמון לבוי כשמון לבוי חייס לעדינו כמענה חייס ברבים גדול יהודי ססום כלם וניסה וכנכם ססום ססום Amen. Rabbi Isai, I want you all to encourage Shimon Soloway. I see him here for the first time in a long time. Give him chizuk that he should join us and continue to join us. Sorry, Shimon, I had to do that to you. Where is he? It's Akiva's dad.
He's always there.
Really? I never see him.
He's edited out.
Oh, he's edited out. I see some funny. Yeah, I saw in the video. You're saying the video for the Siyum, I saw him edited. He came in and out on his son's video.
Yeah.
That I did see. Yeah.
There's someone that does some technical stuff there every day.
How you doing, Reb Shimon? How you doing? I want to tell you Lashon Hara about Akiva. 2 nights ago, it was so cute. Akiva, he was in the, he watched the Shiur in the morning, and at night he came on the Shiur again, but this time he was lying down in bed. He was already knocked out. It's already 10 o'clock. So you know how like some kids, they sneak the movies in at night? He sneaks the Daf Yomi at night. When you don't know, he goes into his bed and he watches Daf Yomi. So you just know about your son. Big tzaddik, Akiva.
It's amazing.
Shkoyach, you give us chizuk. So, Be'ez Hashem, we'll see you more often. Simon on his bike. Simon Cohen, Shkoyach.
I'm Paul.
Who?
Paul Hamburger as well.
Oh, Shalom Aleichem, Paul Hamburger. Shalom Aleichem. By the way, Simon, I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I don't know if you could say that, but I'm off of bread now for a few days, and there's a huge reduction. Huge. Not in weight, in the voice.
God bless.
I hope I want to see if that's the problem. Who knows?
People unmute themselves or not?
Yeah, I was able to unmute.
Eli,
Yeah.
my wife's name is on the bottom of your Testament Aleph, so it was an interesting thing that.
Oh, Rivka Nichnes V'Yotzes. Very good. Wow. Psh.
It's a segula that when you
So,
sponsor Eli Shiur that you get your name in the daf.
but it's not just that. Listen, Judah, listen to this. It's Rivka Nichneses Rivka Yotzes. Rivka is going in. She's done with the first 50, and now she's coming out. She's coming out with the new 50. That's what it says here. Rivka Nichneses Rivka Yotzes. It's going to be a whole new Rivka. You're going to see. It's the better version. You got the better version in your wife now.
You should have sponsored yesterday's. Yeah, I would have sponsored the DAF. I would have been sponsoring a lot of DAFs by now. For every name, every like video, my name was in the DAF.
Yeah.
Oh, Reb Dov Farkas from Melbourne, Australia. You know, I don't know if you know Dov.
Almost Shabbos here. What a great way to bring in Shabbos. Wow.
Listen to this, Dov. You should know that you made it to the Ellie's Classics or something. Like on the app, they brought just a very few videos. Sorry, Judah, yours didn't make it. Dov Farkas made it.